And welcome back. It is Halloween, October 31st, 2020. For the last couple of weeks, I've been nibbling away at this here and there, a little bit in the evenings. The sink is installed, and right now I'm getting the water pump permanently mounted. Actually, just got the water pump permanently mounted. And we're going to put a new trap, new drain on the sink, put our collection tank in here, and we'll wire it up and display that. It's pretty cool when that works. Some other things I've been making progress on are the lights and an interior shelf. So we'll get into that a little bit later on how I did those. I've also been working on some mounting of interior lights and a storage shelf up top. We had that left over in the garage, so that metal rack was just cut down and permanently put up there, and that is really solid. I don't think that's going to move anywhere. For those lights, I did some CNC cuts for the backing plates, and I used some scrap Trex, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But right now I want to get the rest of the sink put back together here with a new trap and a new drain, and we'll display that, and then we'll move on to some other parts. The sink trap is really very simple. This is the one that came on the original Coleman, so this is 35, 36 years old, actually a little more than that. And the rubber seal that was here has pretty much faded and fallen apart, and it's breaking up in spots. And this is a little mini trap that you connect a garden hose onto. So you can still get this stuff. This is also the original one, and the tape on here is kind of peeling up. So we ordered some new parts. We're going to put these on and go from there. This is still just a work in progress, but everything does work. And what we'll do is we'll clean this up once the springtime comes. I just wanted to make sure this was all fully functional before we drain it all out, before it gets too cold so nothing bursts. So that shows our pump that is screwed to that 2x4. We've got our new trap, our new drain put on here for the sink, and that's just nice and hand tight. We've got a garden hose scrap on here. We could put a hose clamp on there, but this is just gravity fed. There's no pressure in that line. And for our supply tank, this PVC just holds the pipe in here for the time being. So that fits there, that goes down to the bottom, and we'll make that nice and neat down the line, as well as having some attachments to hold the supply line there. This is our super simple system. We've got our 12-volt battery feeding the pump with the pressure switch, a supply tank, and a tank that takes our drainage. And since we're just using one side of this, we just turn this on there and then push it up. And we've got our running water. Eventually we'll have the power switch for the water pump neatly put on the wall behind the sink faucet. We'll also have a switch for some lighting up there as well. But right now that's just tucked in there. Super, super simple. Running water. All self-contained with a supply and a return. I bought 3 of these inexpensive can lights. These are about 18 bucks each, and we're going to use LED bulbs that we'll screw in there. We're going to hide the wires as well. The thing that I didn't like the most about these is the way they mounted to the wall. They came with these very inexpensive, obviously because the fixtures are not that expensive, but these mounts are really, really lightweight stuff. And when I put it on the wall there, it just was not very secure. So what we did was, I had some Trex decking left over, and I threw this on the CNC, did a quick design, And these mount to the wall there, and they are really, really solid. And then that goes over our CNC cut mount, and it just sits on there. And then we screw this to our Trex, and that is super, super solid. You can see the screws through there. So we've got a screw there and then a screw on the other side, and that's not going anywhere for those. These were where these screwed into that real flimsy plastic mounting plate. So we might cover those, doesn't really matter, but these are there. The way the shelf is mounted, and again, this was just left over in the garage from some other projects. I cut that down so that it fit in here nice and perfectly. We had an extra one of these mounting brackets there that keeps that nice and tight there. And for this attached to these little support shelves, I used some wire tie downs that we just screwed in a few different areas. There's one there, there's a couple on either side, and there's some on the ends. And that's pretty tight. I don't think that's going to move anywhere. For the light switches, I was playing around again with the CNC, and these are leftover pine scraps from some other things. And I made 2 of those and then cut out a spot for our switch here. And the way these are going to work is this will go over here like this, and then this will be screwed to the wall here. And then we'll have our switches, our switch lines for these. Each individual lamp will have its own switch. The thing I wanted to do before wiring all the lights was to get our table roughed in. And this is going to be a very simple table. We've got our support 2x4 there. We're going to have a hinge. The table will come out to about 34 inches here. And with the hinge, it'll just hinge up and be held in place over the window when it's not in use. As far as the beds go, the table's not going to be used for the support for it. We're just going to have a couple slats that will go across there. You can see with the CNC cutouts here, this is where our switches will be once this is all tucked in there flush. Moving on to our fold down table. This is from a table actually that I built for another camper. So we've got paint on one side, and we'll have to finish this off a little bit differently and clean up this side as well, but I didn't want to waste the wood. We've got a 2x4 securely mounted to the exterior wall here. That's not going anywhere. And then we cut down a piano hinge to hold up our table. Just a look of the table with the hinge on it from the underside before we get any kind of finish on there, before there's a support post, as well as mounting hardware to hold it in the up position. For the time being, our support system is pretty simple. It's just a closet rod, and we've got 2 of these end holders. So that'll be on the bottom. This will go in there. And for our shoe, I just had a little bit of Eternabond tape that I put on the bottom just to keep from scuffing up or tearing up the vinyl flooring. And it holds really well. There's the simple table in the down position. Really secure. So we've got our running sink and our table.